Hi, welcome to Homeschoolific, Course 101, Section 10. Create a learning space. Let's get started. What do you need? You need an area or a room. If you can dedicate one room to your homeschool room, that's fine. If you can't, don't worry about it. You just need a space. And that space can be like your dining room table. That is a very common place for homeschooling. It's a very loved place. It's so popular that often homeschoolers who have a big room, they will put a table, like a dining table type of table, into their classrooms just because it's just a really functional way to school. So don't go away from the dining table. Also, islands work. You can get away with a lot with a homeschool space. You want to think about, like, if you had to work in an office, you don't have to actually work in an office. It just makes it a little more comfortable. But you work at a table, and sometimes you work at Starbucks. You can kind of go anywhere, right? The next thing, and this was a big one, is storage. And I would say for our homeschooling, that's where I had to get creative in the beginning, is finding storage for everything. Some people do purchase things for storage, and some people go with what they have at home. Either one is your choice. You're definitely going to want storage, however. You want storage for the pencils and papers, for the school books. A bookshelf would probably be ideal. You're probably going to want a computer if you don't have a computer. I'm figuring that you have a computer or some kind of device because you're doing this course. A computer for your child would be nice, but depending on what style of homeschooling you're doing, that may not even be necessary at all, or it's so little that you can share. Paper. Definitely want paper, and I don't mean just printer paper. I mean lined paper, paper they can write on, paper they can cut up, construction paper, things like that. And then basic office supplies, so glue and staples and scissors, basic office supplies that you would see in an office, paper clips, things like that. You'd be surprised at those kind of things that you need when you're homeschooling. And you probably, if you have students, you probably have most of this stuff already around just because they usually need these kind of items for homework anyways. And you can definitely use a backpack to store a lot of those books if you need to for the meantime. So what are the nice things to have? So I told you the bare minimum, like what do I need just to make sure I have a homeschool space? That's your bare minimum. What's the nice things to have? Now these things are going to really make it so it's an easier transition for you. A printer. I use my printer almost every single day in my homeschooling, and just more so because I'm kind of Lulu, but I do enjoy it. And we actually have a business that we run out of the house, so well, partially out of the house, but anyways, so we did get a really nice laser printer that uses toner so that we can get high yield, but we did a regular cheap $80 printer for years, and we were fine with that. A whiteboard. I love a whiteboard. Now, I have some families that say they don't need them. They use the small ones, like portable size one for their kids, and that's fine. I personally love a whiteboard. I'm a big whiteboard person. I actually have two whiteboards in my classroom and a chalkboard, and then I have about 4 little mini whiteboards. I really do love whiteboards. And if you can get them magnetized, even better. If you can have a door to your classroom or a divider of the rooms, that will also make it so much nicer. I've done homeschool rooms and homeschool spaces. I've done both, and I really do like having some division between my rooms. It just really helps the space. Again, though, if you're at a table, you still do have that division. I would say just set up your storage where all of your homeschool stuff is in one area, so it gets to go all back in one area, and that makes it a little nicer. If you can, a reading nook. Oh my gosh, I'm going to show you guys our reading nook. But and our reading nook is rather new. We had one in our old house, but I have loved having a reading nook, and especially for you parents that have younger kids still. It is so nice to be able to snuggle next to a child, and I can read with them, but they themselves like to just curl up in that book in their beanbag chair and just enjoy that space. So that's something else. Now, this is something I personally don't have, but I love this idea, and that's non-carpeted floors. If I could have non-carpeted floors, I would. It is extra work protecting my floors because homeschooling can get messy. Extra storage for books and items, and also extra books. It's nice to always have extra books around, resources and stuff like that. So when a child's interest sparks in something, let's say you're doing something and they want to know more about penguins, and hey, it's okay, mom's got a book about penguins, so that's kind of cool. So I really do enjoy that too. And then a nice bright room. I can't tell you how much I have enjoyed having bright spaces for our homeschooling area. We did, for a brief time, do garage, and I did not enjoy that. It was just not very bright, and it just didn't help us with the thought pattern. So I really do like a nice bright room. So what should you avoid? Well, this is also from experiences. Avoid playrooms. It sounds like a good idea. It seems like you're going to be able to maximize that space, but there are so many things to catch their attention and draw their attention away from their schoolwork. Every little toy, every little play area, it's just, that playroom is meant for them to play in. So I would say leave that room for that. Unless you can put all those toys away and make it so they're not seen, it is just going to be a distraction. TV and video games, I would also stay away from where the TV and the video games are going to be. Dim areas, again, like I said, having a bright room really benefited us a lot. Dim room on the other side makes me feel relaxed, it makes me feel lazy. There are times, especially when I was homeschooling all 5 of my kids at the same time, you might find me falling asleep somewhere in a bright room. A dim room was only going to make that worse. Loud areas. If you are in an area where, let's say, the washing machine is always running really, really loud, you might want to avoid that area unless that's a white noise. It depends on the washing machine, of course. But let's say like you have younger kids and there's a playroom area, you probably want to avoid schooling near that area. So let's just say you're like, I want to go all in. I have the resources and I want it all. I want to see what I can do and maximize my space. I have space. I have good size space or maybe a small space. My classroom is a bedroom. It's the smallest bedroom in my house, so it's not very big, but you could do that, or maybe you have like a massive room, or I've seen people take their upstairs attic and do some amazing things. So let's just say you want to go all in. Well, Pinterest is going to be your best friend. Also, I would suggest to go onto YouTube, watch homeschool room tours. And I'm going to show you guys some pictures of my classroom on the next page. Now mine is nowhere near as big or extravagant or quite as pretty as this one, but it's functional. And so I want to show you guys and give you some ideas of what you can do for your classroom. So here's my center of operations. And you will see here, I'm going to get my little pen out and I'm going to put some color here, that I've got some good loving on my chair with the stickers. There's going to be some issues in this picture, guys, so I'm aware of it. I'm okay with it. This is just my real life, and there's always probably something out of place because that's what it is for us. But I have my drawers here, and this holds all of my pretty much like office supply resources and stuff like that, lots of different things. And then of course paper as well for the printer. And then this little thing right here is prizes that I give out. I have my salt rock lamp to purify the air. It just makes me feel good. The way I have my room set up is that this right here is kind of a diagonal. And so over on this side is more like classroom. Sorry, that's an ugly arrow. Classroom, and then over on this side is more like office space. So when I'm facing that way, I feel like I'm more in my office, but when I face the other way, I feel like I'm more in the classroom, and that'll kind of make sense. And then, like if you look at this picture down here, the one at the bottom here, you will see that that's what I can kind of look over at when I look to the side, and this is my cutoff point here. And that allows me to fill that office space because I work from home with my husband. And so I get that office feel. Now, all of those items inside of that casing, all of those wicker baskets, they are actually school supplies. That's all school supplies. The top bin is school supplies. Actually, the whole thing is dedicated to school besides a couple. No, actually, that book is to my candle and my prayer book. That's it. It is all school stuff. And then this little tent here is our reading nook right here. And this is our reading nook. That's I just in the middle of the night decided I wanted a teepee. Went to Pinterest and Pinterest and looked up ideas for a reading nook for a teepee, and was so just elated that I could find other people have done this, and so I used it for inspiration. And we've been really happy with that space. This room is actually probably looking a little bit bigger than it actually is in the picture. It is not that big, but I have made the most of this space. And if you notice on my walls here, I've got a lot of different stuff, and I've got some close-up pictures that I'm going to show you guys of this. But I've got the headphones here. I've got the baskets on the wall. We all have a basket. Well, my two youngest ones. I've got things for hanging on the wall for the pencils and the rulers and all those different things. So you'll get to see some close-ups of that. It really helps. And this thing here holds a ton of storage. I got that from IKEA, and it holds a ton of storage. It was really worth this buy. So when I say maximize your space, unless you've got like a lot of space, and even if you have a lot of space, it just, you'll probably collect a lot. So I would still maximize my space, but often most of us are going to start off homeschooling and not have a whole room to dedicate with in that room. So again, as I stated before, you will see on my walls, I have lots of things there. You will notice that here in my closet, those are closet doors. I have all the cursive cards that we use. When I close that door, they show, all of them show, and then I have them on little sticky things that come off and on. And then if he needs one closer to him, he can take it off and have it at his desk with him. You will also notice that this table is a fold-up table because this is a picture before I got my IKEA table on the other slides. I have the blackboard for Christian here. That's my son. I have the blackboard there for him. Here is my little coffee area, my file cabinet, and my charger. And then I get cold, so there's my coat. And then there's extra storage up top in that closet. I've used every space I possibly could. We've got a map here for the kiddos, and then all of my cards that I need for my son to learn his phonics, I have placed up there. And then we have our calendar here. Again, I maximize that space. And then down here in the corner of this whiteboard is a magnetizing whiteboard, and I got these little clips here, and they hold these papers up because I don't really have the space to hang everything up that I would like to hang. And my kids are visual learners, very visual, very tactile. So I have to have a lot of things for them to see. It's important for their style of learning. So for me, the idea of having every single card on my walls, well, I mean, I guess I technically have the wall space, but I don't desire to do that. And so I use these, and I stick them up on the whiteboard and spread them out as I need to. I also use my wall space, for the calendar. I've got the eraser there, stick in there, and then that clip is so that I can take these and put any one of these cards and other cards here for my son, and he can see them and utilize them. And then they have their whiteboard over here that they can write on, and they also have their instructions for the day there. And then over here is more of those clips I told you about, and I put multiple sheets in there and I switch them out. They're just themed. So these are certain cards that I have with the homeschool curriculum that we use, these right here. And then these are all to do with math, and then these all deal with sounds, phonetic blends. Now, keep in mind, you can homeschool anywhere, and anywhere can be your classroom. I asked LaVonda if I could have a picture of her classroom, and she was very gracious to send me one. This is her classroom in the middle of her transitioning right now. So it is not everything that it normally is, but her room is where I guess you would say her formal living room. I mean, not formal living room, her formal dining room would be. And so this room here is hers. And you see her whiteboard up with the calendar. She has a lot of bookshelves, bookcases. She is into holding a lot of books. We have a lot of books. I don't know if we have as many as LaVonda does, but we have bookcases all around the house, so we kind of spread ours around. But she surpasses me in the classroom, I would say probably quadruple. She has a lot of books and she loves her books. She has a lot of resource books, and sometimes I borrow some of her books because she does have a lot of resource books, and that's really ideal. It's really great to have. And you will also notice, like I told you before, the folding table, it's really functional. Don't be afraid to use the folding table, because if you're in a smaller space, although her space is far from small, but if you're in a smaller space, it allows you to make that space multifunctional, and that's a really great tool. I will also say that IKEA table that I had purchased for my classroom is really good for that as well. It wasn't a classroom desk, it was actually a table for small spaces, and I use it for the classroom, and it's been amazing because it breaks down to literally maybe 8 inches across when I want to use that space for something else. So it's really nice. And my classroom is multifunctional. It's my office, it's my workout room, it's my meditation room, it's my prayer room. It's a lot of different things for me. And sometimes it's my recording room, as it is right now. And so this space, LaVonda has, she uses it mostly just for teaching. And if she entertains, she will clear out that space and put some tables up and entertain. And so it's multifunctional in that place, but other than that, she uses it just predominantly for schooling. But you can use the floor. Maybe your kids like to draw and color and do a lot of schoolwork like that. You can use beanbag chairs. That works. My kids love their beanbag chairs. School at the park, one of my favorites. I love that. Maybe you just have a nice clean area that's your desk area and you're going to use that for school. That works. The island, yep, do that. We do that as well. We do branch out all around the house, by the way, too. That does happen. And then a tablet, that works too. Whatever it takes to do your school, it all works. That's the point. It's all school. So remember to find your space, be flexible, maximize your space, and take your time about building your ideal space. It does not all have to happen right away. My space came over time, and actually at the beginning of this year, I didn't even have a classroom. My second son moved out with my first son, so they're roommates now, and so I took his room as a classroom. But it's a process. It doesn't always happen overnight. So just do the best you can with what you have. Thank you so much for joining us again on Homeschoolific. This is next section is section 11, and we will cover the last section of this course, record keeping. Thanks again. We do it. You can too.